Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the June League semifinals for the MTGPL Legacy Discord. My name is Dr. Leo. I'm joined here by Mr. Jack Dax for these semifinals. How you doing, homie?
Doing pretty good. Excited to see some awesome Legacy gameplay. I'm always excited to see the new monkey. Ragavan is pretty hit or miss so far in Legacy, unless you're playing like a blue red Delver variant. But I'm always excited to see the monkey. A lot of people don't like the monkey.
See, it's being thrown into all these different shells all the time. We now see it in the Sneak and Show variant. We've seen it obviously in Blue Red Delver. There's also been a couple of like Standstill, Stifle Knot variants. The monkey is powerful. I mean, I think in the Blue Red Delver shell, the real powerhouse is the Dragon Rage Channeler because that surveil ability stacked onto it is just so powerful. But here, I do like that it is an alternative threat that can also help get you to like 3 mana or having the extra mana in order to hold up 1 mana permission and such like that in show and tell. So there is some solid play here.
No, I agree. It's a very interesting choice. I do like the dash cost and show and tell. On the Stoneblade side, it's one of my babies. I love that deck to death. It's not as good as anymore, but it seems like we're gonna be off. Straight into a ponder.
Yeah, so Stoneblade has gotten a lot of toys recently with the new Cauldron Complete, as well as in the blue white, the Jeskai versions. You're gonna have the prismatic ending, but having that 3 colors to splash in order to just nuke 3 drops, or he's gonna be really powerful. As well as we see in this version using 2 expressive iteration. The card draw engine that's been usually in blue red delver since they're very hard into blue red, they can easily support the expressive iteration. I like it in this deck. I mean, it's a solid draw too if you play it right. On your 3rd turn, you could also hit a land drop. I think it's a really solid card.
No, I agree. I think Expressive Iteration has been kind of a sleeper hit in my opinion, um, and it is now slowly being picked up by a lot of different places. I'm actually really liking the card. It gets one in your hand, one underneath, and then one to play that turn. It's pretty good for a blue and red. Cost
Yeah,
restrictive, of course, so you have to make some alterations to your deck list.
yeah, I think it's really solid. But this Cauldron Complete card, man, it's the Reality Smasher that you can put in off of a Stoneforge Mystic. It's just so powerful. I know you've been playing in Dead Guy L. What do you think about it?
I love Cauldron Complete. Cauldron Complete's one of my favorite new cards besides Dam. It is such a fun card, but it does have I think it's a little bit better in modern than it is here in Legacy. In Legacy, there's just so much white removal that exiles things like Prismatic Ending, um, Swords of Plowshare, and really, it's more of a modern all star considering it's so hard to get rid of because modern's premier removal is Fatal Push compared to our
Fatal
premier
Push,
removal being,
Bolt.
STP.
Yeah, exactly. It does that indestructible part of it is very powerful. Personally, I've actually gone to like Hercules Recall in my fair blue piles because of the fact that like there's so much Urza Saga and such like that going on, and it's the only way to really get rid of that Cauldron Complete.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting to see kind of Hercules Recall come back. And the means of gameplay wise, we've literally just seen a ponder. Malfi's been
Yeah,
kind of sitting on 2 lands. We're gonna see Mossy
early
Fetch.
cantripping. When we see this though, Malfi not having a play on turn 2 is unfortunately where Stoneforge does not want to be. Stoneforge always needs to be able to put up a clock because of the fact that it relies so much on that Stoneforge getting that threat that can support itself. Like we haven't seen anything playing this like draw go stuff is not going to get the game over for Stoneforge and just giving time for Sneak and Show to do its thing. And yep, here we go. We have an ancient tomb with show and tell. All right, brainstorm
Usually,
number 1.
usually the perfect start. You want to show until something cool in. On Moss's side, this is likely going to be either an Omniscience or it's going to be an Emrakul. All depends. All depends on what we're going to see. Grizzlebrand would be really good here too because we can start drawing cards and go straight for the sneak attack route. If we
Uh,
can if we can go down that route, it just depends.
Depending on how many cards in hand, if we have more than 2 to 3 cards in hand, Omniscience into Emrakul, you can usually win. Always preferably, I think, is Grizzlebrand. That's the best thing to put in no matter what. because of the fact that Grizzlebrand is Grizzle Daddy. It allows you to just draw 14 cards right there and be able to slam anything else on turn two with plenty of counter magic. And we see Malfi really digging here. I don't suspect Malfi has an answer in hand because we're seeing this double brainstorm.
Yeah, honestly, the Sneak and Show matchup is not the greatest from Malfi's side. I mean, you can play Caracas, which I believe Malfi is playing a Caracas. You've got Vendilion Click if
There's
you want to
one
start messing with
Caracas.
things. Containment Priest is good. I mean, it's just difficult to do because, you know, you just have to have your trigger on the pulse. You have to have your finger on the pulse and just really deal with it when it comes out. You have to be ready with removal and or counterspell package. It's just difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like your traditional removal aren't going to do anything, but there are plenty of hits here. I mean, of course, we have the four force of will. We also have the extra force of negation. We also have a one of spell pierce. So there are plays around here that can definitely be leveraged effectively on Malfi's side, but we just see nothing. Just dig, dig, dig with brainstorm, and I think we're about to see this be game over here. What do we see? Malfi flipping over island, Masa flipping over.
Sneak
Oh,
attack.
sneak attack. Okay, so sneak attack is another. This is another trick that sneak and show players can do to get a discount and be able to sneak attack with holding up a red mana. So when you only have access to one red mana.
We're gonna see Grizzlebrand.
Oh, oh, okay. So Grizzle Daddy's into play. So now we're gonna just be able to draw 14 cards, try and
Yeah.
find extra red mana source and an Emrakul and finish it up.
Find a Lotus Petal. Emrakul it in. Easy time.
Yep. And we do have land drop with the ancient tomb this turn, so we can't do an extra land drop,
Nope.
but we can do something like a lotus petal and just finish it off there.
Oh yeah.
This is just what Sneak and Show does. It's an ape with an actual monkey in it now.
Oh
Just
yeah.
gonna ape's gonna ape.
Seems like we're gonna swing in, I imagine, and then
Oh,
go.
not yet. You gotta see as many cards as possible. I was once so I played against a local Sneak and Show player all the time, and you just draw as many cards as you can to protect act on the swing, and then after that you gain the 7 life, pay 7 again,
Yeah.
and then just sit behind your wall of counterspell that you have for the most perfect crafted hand, assuming that you haven't killed your opponent by then.
It seems like he. It seems like Masa's not gonna pay the 7 again. Masa's gonna stay up at 10 and bring Malfi down to 12. Um, could be
Masa
scaling
must have
thing.
found everything that
Yeah.
they needed then.
It's also possible, given that players do know their deck lists and such, they're also very cognizant of the fact, you know, there are ways to die around 3 life. You know,
Okay, so what are some things that Malfi can do to try and survive here now that the sneak attack is on the board? We have one Brazen Borrower to bounce it. Um, Prismatic Ending can't hit it. No,
you know, you can't even generate that mana for Prismatic Ending. You need 4 different
yeah.
colors.
Ooh, spicy. Oh,
No, we're just gonna show the hand because we did draw, you know, 14 cards last turn. We still
no,
have
no, no.
from.
This is discarding hand size. This is
Yes,
discarding hand size.
this is the hand size
So,
discard. So
so
we're throwing out
importantly
some stuff.
here, Malfi is showing the monkey. Is showing the monkey
Masa
here.
is being polite and saying, "Yeah, this is what I have. This is what's being discarded. Known information."
Yeah,
That
exactly.
discard
So
pile,
it
if I remember
does.
correctly, is a volcanic island, 2 snow-covered islands, a show and tell, a Ragavan, and a sneak attack.
I don't think there was an extra show and tell in there. I think
Might have been a ponder and a preordain.
yeah, I think it was a different blue cantrip. But yeah, I really don't think that Malfi has a play here because of the fact that at this point Masa has enough of action in hand to have sculpted after drawing all those cards that this might just be game over. I mean, that being said, raise your hand if you survived a sneak attack Emrakul hit and came back and won the game.
I mean, you only need the right hand, you know, just
sometimes it just happens. It's like, okay, I'm gonna sneak attack an Emrakul and kill you. It's like, well, no, I have 5 life points left. I'm like down to no permanents. We'll still play this on. And they're like, well, dude, you're dead as soon as I find something else. Like, yeah, but you have to find it first.
Yeah.
And
Just
sometimes you can just get there.
Caracas bounce every time. It'll be fine. Living the dream, right?
Yeah, but unfortunately, we did see Malfi play this mountain here, and so that therefore that eliminates Caracas as an out.
Mm-hmm.
Malfi, I would have liked to see the Prismatic Vista played after the Ponder, like get as much information as possible, especially since Caracas is one of your known outs. I would have liked to see the Ponder first and then play your land.
Agreed. It's one of those situations where it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it is an out and it is known. There are little corner cases where you might play your land out first in case you're very scared of a daze or something like that.
Yeah, but you're outside
Sometimes
of
it's really
Days
good. Yeah,
range.
you're outside of
And you're
daze range in this case.
uh, I mean, that being said, this is a Days deck. There are
Mm-hmm.
2 Dazes in here,
Oh
which
yeah.
is some wild tech to see. Like I've seen some Seek and Show players do that, and I think now that they've gone away from the Wish package with Cunning Wish,
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why they've sort of gone into this Days effective package. Are we gonna see a Vendilion click here on draw step?
Possibly.
I think we're gonna see a Vendilion click.
Let's see if Malfi has one. Yeah, I do not have the list in front of me, but Doc does, so Doc should know if Malfi has a Vendilion click on the list. I do remember
Yeah,
there being
so
a Caracas.
we do have one Vendilion click in the main. You don't see it every day in
No,
Legacy
you don't.
anymore, but I mean, it's still a solid card.
Yeah, I mean, you could have Vendilion click in response to the activation. It's always funny.
That is true.
And we're gonna see another card.
Uh,
And I think we just die.
GG's.
Oh yeah. Not much you can do about that. There really
Yeah,
isn't much
no,
you can do once you let the sneak attack resolve. You're just stuck in a corner basically.
nope. The flying Eldritch Spaghetti monster is gonna come in and munch away your board. All right, so let's look at sideboards here. So for Malfi's list, we got one Deafening Silence, one Meltdown, one Prismatic Ending, one Pyroblast, one Red Elemental Blast, two Surgical Extractions, one Containment Priest, one Aethersworn Canonist, one Force Negation, one Magus of the Moon, one Supreme Verdict, one Wear and Tear, and two Submerge. What do you like here?
I like Containment Priest a lot for Malfi's end. Surgical might be useful here if you want to start surgicaling preordains and stuff to get out of there, or just surgicaling the outs like Show and Tell. Um, it's a very useful card, but at the same time, I find Surgical is that kind of card where it's just like, oh man, I don't know what to put in here. Surgical it is.
Okay, so here's my thing. I'm gonna give my pedestal a little bit when it comes to surgical versus combo matchups. If you are a deck that runs hand disruption, and that is one of you like a core part of your deck. Like if you're a four Thoughtseize or you run Inquisition or you run Cabal Therapy, then I don't mind surgical because then you can proactively surgical. You can get
Agreed.
information. You can rip something out of your hand, their hand that's necessary, and do it. That it's not a guarantee that you will be able to counterspell your opponent's spell when it's on the stack and then surgical it once you won that war, once you won that stack fight.
Yep.
So it's not guaranteed that, and you could just be sitting there with it and then realize that your one force of will wasn't good enough, and then you're just done, and that surgical is a dead card. So because of that, I don't like surgical specifically in this matchup. I do like the blast effects though. Pyroblast and Red Blast are always going to be good against the blue part of the deck,
Mm-hmm.
being the fact that it's show and tell. It's not good against the red part of the deck
Nope.
with sneak attack, and that's one of the powerful parts of this deck. Another reason why I don't like surgical in this deck is because if you get rid of one part of the deck, there's another part of the deck that can just kill you. So it's it's one of those things that I would rather have the blast effects than surgical.
Completely
But I
fair. I mean,
do
you can blast their forces and their dazes. So if you do run into that trouble,
Yeah, exactly. But I do love the Containment Priest in this matchup. I think it's super solid. Of course, the one glaring omission in this is Omniscience, because
Hmm.
of the fact that when you hit Omniscience, it's just go, 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 and you can just get you can just cast all
Yeah,
of
you
them,
really
and
can't
Containment
do too
Priest does
much about the
nothing.
omniscience though. Like you
Yeah,
gotta roll with those punches.
I think you just take the L if Omniscience hits play. So on the other side, for Monkey Sneak, we got one Beseju who shelters all,
Hmm.
one Grafdigger's Cage, two Gut Shots, two Surgicals, two Abrade, one Defense Grid, two Pyroclasm, two Blood Moon, one Brazen Borrower, and one Through the Breach. Through the Breach is my personal favorite card in this entire sideboard, and I think it's the award for best card in this entire 75.
What, just scaring people through the breach and actually going around all the choices and just bringing them through the breach and cast it?
Yep. Yep. Just going straight to modern power level, just accepting that, like, okay, I'm not going to show and tell you. I'm not going to sneak attack you. I'm just going to through the breach you. And what are you going to do about this in Legacy? And you're just like, shit.
Yeah, I find that kind of funny. I mean, it's cute. I mean, it's not amazing. It's a good way to get
I
around
I
things.
used to lose to it all the time. Like it would happen. Like I would be excited because I was like, "Oh, I surgical the show and tell and the what's called the sneak attack from my friend Kevin at the local game store." And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna through cutting wish through the breach you." I'm like, "Mm, that's dirty." But I also do love the two of braid here, and then the one Beseju who shelters all is like not the worst feeling in the world.
You know, agreed. Agreed. The Beseju is going to be probably the most useful in my opinion. Casting show and tell for the fact that it is uncounterable, really good.
Yeah. What's your opinion on defense grid in this matchup?
Defense grid is kind of hit or miss. I mean, I've seen them boarded in, but at the same time, it also kind of screws you over a little bit because Masa is really wanting to force anything that might come up um, against them. So it does kind of put you in a weird spot because it is symmetrical. It's not an asymmetrical effect because
It
back
is
then, you know,
symmetrical.
things were a little bit more fair. So there are situations where Malfi could just like bring out something that you don't want to see. Um,
Exactly.
and just have no ability to get rid of anything.
Exactly. I think it's a very a toss-up thing, and honestly, this is where I'm gonna admit that I don't know. I if I had more reps with the deck, I would probably know, but the fact that I've only just played against this deck a lot, I wouldn't ever say that I would ever be considered myself even competent for fully sideboarding it. But I think Defense Grid is one of those like if you had the slot to cut, I don't hate it. And I don't think I'd want to cut Ragavan. I think I'd rather keep Ragavan in this matchup, honestly.
I mean, that one mana is going to be very useful real quick.
Yeah, exactly. I think the fact that this is also a deck that can possibly run things like Supreme Verdict and stuff like that. The fact that Dash can just get control players off of a Terminus or a Supreme Verdict or something like that, where you wipe the board and you think you're safe, you tap out, and then you just get dashed. And it just feels so bad
It's
because
great. It's great.
you didn't play around the monkey.
Mm-hmm.
And
Seems
seeing
like
here
Malfi will
Moss
start off here with the strongest start, a volcanic island and a flooded strand. Probably not the land Malfi really wanted to keep in hand, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. Um, and it seems
looks
like
like both
Masa is
players
playing just some fetches, you know,
both
chilling.
players are playing slow. I think both players kept very reactive hands,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna go on who's gonna pull the trigger first.
Agreed. It's going to be all based on who's going to go first in this matchup, who's going to be the
Yep.
most explosive.
But who favors who during the late game? Sneaking Show is one of those few combo decks that doesn't get scared the longer the game goes. It does not care because it can eventually just do the thing in one turn and kill you.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I apologize for that. My phone just started going off. So
Yep. Ape's gonna ape.
Ape is
Like
definitely
on
gonna ape. Seems like we're gonna somewhere going here. We're gonna crack of a prismatic vista. Gotta love Magic's fixation with prismatic recently. Prismatic ending, prismatic vista. It's been a lot about prismatics.
I think it's just an easy. I mean, Magic's all about five colors of magic and a prism reflecting and
I
splitting
guess, yeah.
colors. I think it's just an easy play on words that they've just been abusing more often.
Hmm.
Good, but so when we see optimal play patterns here, what do you think Malfi's most optimal play pattern is here? Because we're seeing here we didn't fetch white with that prismatic vista, which honestly I think probably it should have because Stoneforge Mystic I think is the best play here.
No, agreed. I mean, it is kind of a weird slippery slope because you really don't want to be fetching straight up white all the time. You want to leave that for your off color lands. With Prismatic Vista, especially, you want more islands than white sources. I mean, Flooded Strands are more useful in this matchup just because you can fetch for the Tundra. That's the trade off with playing the Prismatic Vistas. Most of the time, you're going to be fetching straight for the islands, just because of how the utility is. In this situation, you want the double blue. That way, you can fetch for a Tundra probably next. Because you know Masa's not playing any Wasteland, so you're pretty free to do that.
Yeah, definitely. You can aggressively fetch those duels. You know, we say that though, but there is a time, and I've gotten got before, so I've learned my lesson. But there's a times when sometimes they'll just slam a blood moon on turn two or turn three after fetching their single island and not caring
That's fair.
because because the only spell that matters to them to resolve is going to be uh, a spell that resolves with one blue mana. The rest of it's all like free or kills you after that.
No, great. And it looks like we're going to see the white mana source coming out here. We're going to see a
Ooh.
plains. Do wonder what's in hand then.
So that was the
Malfi
Flooded Strand.
passed. So,
So that was just a fetch and a pass. I wonder if Melfi sided out the back to basics that's main board. I
I do wonder.
so I don't really like back to basics in this deck because like I was saying exactly the exact same thing that applies to Blood Moon applies to Seekicho to back to basics in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just has to resolve one spell that resolves a single blue pip. So I don't hate targeting their mana base here because they have so many other things, including like things like Lotus Petals and stuff like that to cast spells off of. Monkey treasure tokens.
No, agreed. It's one of those things that's not the greatest. I do think that Masa is more of the driver's seat here. Malfi, I think, is posturing for a containment priest, but it doesn't seem like a great idea to
Ooh,
posture for that right now.
Containment
I would
Priest
have
is
kept
something I
up the
didn't think about.
fetch just to mess with them. I mean, at worst, you could have fetched on end step if you really saw a top that you hated. Um,
Okay, so we got some action. Masa slamming show and tell. Three mana show and tell, not off of a. Okay,
I also don't really care for this play. Force negation is better here. This is not your turn. You could have hard casted force
yeah,
negation.
could have saved yourself the life
Yeah.
or just like hard cast. Yeah, I agree. I think hard casting the force negation. Like I could see in the case if you have containment priest, but
I mean, it's one of those things where I guess it must be containment priest. I mean, I would have done
no,
it the other way around at the very least. Force
no,
pitching
I
will.
highly agree. I highly agree. I think this is going to be a force of negation. I would rather have hard cast force of negation as a cancel, and then
Yeah, what are we
okay. So
pitching
we
now? Back to basics. So we kept
back
on
to
the back to basics.
basics.
Okay. We did see a lot of
Okay,
basics though, so that is the questionable one for me at
I mean
least.
it's a solid pitch. It's a solid pitch, but
Solid
now
pitch, but why was it in the deck still? I think is more of
e-
my thinking here.
exactly. So yeah, I have to. I don't think. Yeah, because that's double him to Turok.
Yeah,
You just double him to Turok yourself. You have three cards at hand.
difficult. I mean,
And
that is a choice decision.
if you do, if Malfi doesn't flash in a containment priest on the end step here, I'm gonna be actually a little bit upset
Well, we'll
because
see.
otherwise you just double him to Turok yourself and like didn't have.
Okay, we're gonna
Okay,
search
search
both.
cool,
I'm assuming we're surgically the show and
but
tell.
that still doesn't require mana.
Yeah. Yeah, my assumption is you
Okay,
take show
so
and tell.
this is what I was talking about, where show and tell is has and if oh
Yeah, the show
oh
and tell
okay, so
doesn't
this
really matter.
okay, so this is exactly what I was talking about here. This was the most optimal way in which surgical extraction could have worked out. You won the counterspell war. You burned all those cards to kill it, and then now you reveal your opponent's hand, and they have double threat in hand with the alternative win condition, with two of the alternative win conditions in hand.
I mean, all they
Because
need is one more mana, or at least a
yeah,
way to
we're
generate, right? I think we're at 3, so we need 2 more, technically.
yeah. Oh, and Masa here showing off the through the breach
The
that
third breach
came
came
in.
in. You were right.
So
Brutal.
even then, and Masa doesn't care about show and tell being gone.
Yeah, there's still ways to cheat these fatties into play. It's a long fought road that's coming here.
Oh, is that the defense grid? It looks like the defense grid might
I
have come
believe
in.
so.
Yeah, it makes sense if you want to fight this access on the stack,
Mm-hmm.
then that makes sense. But I mean, look at Masa's hand, double sneak attack. That okay?
Wild.
I'm gonna say it. I think that show and tell was bait.
Yeah, I mean,
Masa doesn't care. Masa force pitching for force. There's Masa
Masa's
went
got 2
down.
chances to get a sneak attack out. 2 chances.
Yeah, exactly.
First one needs
You
to,
know,
first one needs to counter. It's fine. Second one needs to
yeah,
counter. That's when it's trouble.
exactly. Hey, there's plenty of time here. Okay, so we're seeing a Snapcaster on the end step. So that's what the mana was kept up for.
So we're snapcasting into a brainstorm, I imagine, and hopefully we're not going to get locked.
I don't even know if I like the Snapcaster versus just hardcasting the Force Negation because you have at least one more card left in your hand,
That's true.
and one of them being an extra Force of Will. Because I'm assuming, okay, hardcast Force Negation, Force pitching back to basics. Back to basics is terrible right now, and then you win the counter war, and then you can still have Snapcaster Mage in hand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what else is in Malfi's hand to suggest this, but I think people go right away to the pitch cast of Force Negation when sometimes you just got to look at it as sometimes it's just a cancel, and like cancel can be good sometimes.
It's a, it's a very good cancel at certain points. I mean, I can
You
also
still
see the play
exiles
where
it.
Malfi wants to not exile it so that way Malfi can hit the surgical, but even then, it's still kind of difficult.
Yeah, and this Snapcaster Mage. Oh, that was a main phase Snapcaster Mage?
That's pretty brutal.
Ooh, ooh.
This is main
Okay,
phase brainstorm too. I mean, there is a possibility where Masa brainstorm locks themselves.
there's a
Distinct
possibility.
possibility.
But I mean, do
Uh,
you even care? What are you looking? You're only looking for a land here. So as long as you hit a land, you don't care.
a land or lotus. That's basically what you're
A
looking
land
for.
or a
Land,
low
land,
spell,
land
yeah.
lotus or land or
And we
lotus or
do
double
have
lotus.
and we do have double red source here, so you can just deploy the sneak attack on your next turn and just go boom boom hit two fatties. And
Exactly.
at this point, even Crocus isn't even going to save him.
Mm-hmm. It's just unbelievable the situations that you can get in. Sneak and
Yeah,
Show is one of those decks that I always find is relevant to seeing paper. I mean, it's always
sneak
fun
and
to see people who play it. They always have a lot of fun. I mean, it's one of those decks where you're just like, I'm dumping my hand, time to win.
I think honestly, if you're going to any major tournament, you should always expect Sneak and Show
Mm-hmm.
because Sneak and Show is one of those decks that pilots who play Sneak and Show love Sneak and Show,
Oh yeah.
and honestly, it's a great deck to have. Honestly, it's so good to have it just offhand because in a unknown meta, it's great. In a fair blue meta, it's great. In a uh grindy meta is great. Like honestly, the deck is just pretty solid, and now we see it adapting with Ragavan. It's pretty solid again.
Agreed. It's a really good place to be. Oh, we saw Ponder. Okay. We're seeing cards. We're seeing cards then. Probably put back one of the Emeralds, I imagine.
We did have a land drop. It's the second volcanic island.
Yep.
So there's three red sources on board. You know that your opponent can possibly deploy sneak attack and activate on this next turn
Yep.
if Masa hits
Another land
the
or
red
has it.
source.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
Lotus.
exactly. Or a Lotus Petal. So Malfi's very much on the back foot here and needs to play pretty aggressively to try and figure out how to fight this.
Agreed. I mean, it's a tough place to be in, situationally wise. Really, it's just gonna be about beating things down and getting into positions where you know you can fight things. Um,
A card I really like here though, Vendilion Click.
I do like
Vendilion
Vanilla
Click
Click.
is really good here. Can at least save you a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to see what Malfi put away. I would love to see, sorry, what Masa put away. Um, I think logically it's probably the extra Emrakul, and then maybe the other
Oh,
sneak attack. I'm not sure.
but one of them you want to draw on your next turn, so I could see sticking the extra Emrakul underneath
Yeah.
there. Uh, but yeah, we're
Oh, we got an ancient
here. It
tomb.
is.
Here we go.
Oh, we got Ancient Tomb. Oh, Containment Priest. Oosh, 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 oosh. Okay, so we do see the Containment Priest. This is a really good draw for.
Ooh, not
Oh,
good. Honestly,
Corso.
if that containment priest has been in hand for a long time, I probably would have just casted it.
Yeah, exactly what I was saying on that end step to just deploy the containment priest. But yeah, like wow, I guess Malfi must have either found it
Yeah,
like within the last like couple of on that brainstorm. But honestly, Masa's ponders were just exactly perfect, hitting Force Will plus blue card, and we know that there's double threat in hand. I think this is GG's.
agreed. We do know there was at least double threat last time we saw it. I mean, we're probably seeing Emrakul here and swing in for the win.
I mean, Emrakul by itself by herself
Yep.
just finishes the game off, but like this was still pretty close.
Yeah, the Stoneblade matchup's
It
not that great on the Stoneblade side of things for against Sneak and Show. It's always historically been pretty bad because we
yeah,
don't race well with Sneak and Show. So this kind of
yeah.
shows you.
You're just a worse control deck versus Sneak and Show.
Yep, we're
And
gonna see the swing in,
honestly,
and the Annihilator trigger goes on.
honestly, that's just what Sneak and Show does. It's just very good at doing this. But yeah,
You take them.
it's still you gotta take it with the lumps because Sneak and Show gonna do what's gonna do. Ape's gonna ape,
Yep.
and that's
We're
GG's.
gonna get a quick 2-0 from Massa, who will be moving on to face the winner of Cliff versus. I can't actually remember off the top of my head who it is.
I haven't got it off the top of my head either.
But it will be the other semifinal. Massa will be making it on to the finals of the June League, and we'll hopefully see some more commentary from him. Any final closing thoughts, Doc?
No, it's great to see this. I enjoyed watching Sneak and Show and Stoneblade. I like the new tools. I think just the distribution just needs to be changing up. I want to see more of those prismatic endings. That card's just so good.
It's a very good card. Well, that's it from us, everyone. Have a wonderful day or night, depending on whenever you watch this. As always, our Twitter, our Twitch, and our Discord is in the links below, as well as the deck list. So please check us out on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us here on YouTube. Subscribe, like the video, all that kind of jazz. And let us be your local meta. Join us on Discord. Doc, you have anything for the rest of the crew before we sign out?
Have a good one, everyone.